listening to My Aimless Conversation with Jeff Cosetta, and my guest today is a three-peater. Yes, my guest today is Casey Tremblay. And this is really more of a low-key conversation as Casey has now very nicely settled into motherhood. But as is typical, we discuss a wide range of topics, including the way her almost 4-month-old child Mason is changing every day, from movements to teething to what he's eating. How Casey keeps her sanity by watching reality shows, which I don't typically agree with. But then we discuss how young adult and adolescent television has changed from when we were kids. It's no longer TGIF. And then we discuss the effects of infomercials on our psyche and buying habits. And of course, we discuss Casey's video game and streaming career. And if you could, please be so kind to share, subscribe, and rate this podcast. And you want to be a guest on the show? Follow me and even jump into my DMs. Slide into my DMs on Twitter or Instagram at jfree82. Okay, shameless plug over. Let's have an aimless conversation with Casey and Mason.
Staring into the abyss.
Oh man, so you're a three-peat guest. It's
Yes.
interesting. It's interesting because I do have other people that I've just been so lazy. Like, I don't know what it is, if it's the summer, the nicer weather, or just the fact that we don't have, or like the timing has changed, but I have like 2 or 3 other people that I've like already like confirmed that they want to be on. I just haven't really reached out to them. So it's kind of like, that was like a month ago. So, this is going to be the podcast. I think my last podcast was like back in maybe May. So like, this is like, it's been 2 months since my last podcast. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So you're my first three-peat guest, but you've also, I think the last podcast you were on were 2 episodes prior. So it's almost like you, another guest, you, another
Every
guest.
other.
And that's
I can
fine.
take that.
I'll have you on every other time. And that's fine. Cause you and I,
And what's funny is I'm probably your most boring guest on the podcast.
I mean, yes, that's totally true. No, I think it's not necessarily boring. I just think you and I have a good enough chemistry that we can go back and forth and we can kind of make, conversation out of anything.
Yeah, definitely.
So which is we're doing right here. But yeah, three-peat guest. I think this is, I forget what episode number it is, and I'm too lazy to look it up now. But we were just talking about how boring you are. But it's you're full into like motherhood now.
Full on into it. It's so crazy.
You mentioned your baby's name. We're not going to put him on camera, but Mason.
Yep.
Mason's how old now?
He is 3.5 months. He's going to be
Wow.
4 months on July 15th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know. It's so crazy. He's like, he rolled over for the first time like 2 weeks ago, from his back to his stomach. He's done it twice so far, but it's funny because he'll literally roll over, but he'll literally be almost flat on his stomach, but he can't get over his arm. So he just he gets so mad. So he's working on that. I don't know if he's teething or not yet. I can see like his little teeth pockets, I guess I don't know what they're called, like his gums, and you can almost see teeth, but I guess it could take like so long for them to come through. But yesterday I was giving him, he was sucking on his fingers a lot, which I mean, babies do, but then I gave him, one of these, I'll show you, I know no one else can see it, but it's like a little teething ring with keys on it. And I have like 3 of them. So I put them in the freezer and he like loved it. And I was like, oh my God, are you going to start teething? And we just got like his nighttime schedule down packed. Like he's such a good sleeper. And I'm like, of course, as soon as we get it down, we're on a schedule, you're going to start teething and it's going to be a mess.
Throws another monkey wrench into the schedule.
Yes.
Well, yeah. He sounds very happy. Yeah. So I was just looking while we were talking. The last time you were on was the middle of May. So like almost 2 months ago now.
I was going to say, because I remember him sitting in his chair and he slept for a little bit and he was awake, but he was making noise. But yeah, it was like 2 months.
Now he's very vocal, which I love.
Yes,
but yeah,
he does not stop talking. Yesterday he would not shut up. We kept having to turn the TV up because we couldn't hear it because but it's kind of creepy because so real quick in the beginning, his crib's in the corner and then his changing table's on the other side of the room. So I would lay him on the changing table and he would stare up in the corner of his bedroom, in the corner where the head is of his crib. And he would just like stare and then he would talk. And I'm like, okay, kind of creepy, whatever. Now I sit in like the same spot on the couch next to all his toys and stuff. And he'll literally break his neck to look walk like the little doorway into our kitchen. And this morning he was like laughing and talking, and I'm like, who are you talking to? I mean, I guess I'm glad he's not like crying, so he's not scared, but he will have like a full-on conversation with something, and I'm like, oh my God.
So I don't want to take this down a dark path, but that just got me thinking, like, do you ever think that like they always say like children, toddlers, babies, they see like spirits and ghosts and whatnot?
Yes. So I have to tell myself, so my grandparents, they've been, my grandmother's been gone for a few years and my grandfather's been gone for like 10 years, but they would have loved Mason. So I always tell myself, oh, it's going to be them. And then Chris's father passed away this year. So I'm like, I'm hoping it's like one of them, just, you know what I mean? Cause he's, like I said, he's not scared, but, I posted a status on Facebook like last week, we lost power. And I'm 34 and I just don't like the dark, but I have to sleep in complete darkness, but I don't like the dark. Like I don't like being awake in the dark. So I had two of my friends be like, my child was saying that, the kid over, the headless man in the closet or the creepy little girl in the corner. And I'm like, okay, thank God Mason can't talk yet. Cause I don't know what we would do. I'd have all the lights on in the house.
So first of all, I have to ask, are you afraid of the dark? Have you ever seen that television show on
I
Nickelodeon?
love that show and I'm definitely afraid of the dark.
Oh,
I can't even lie. I'm so afraid of the dark.
I thought they rebooted that series a couple years ago and I'd love to check that out because I remember being terrified as a kid watching that on Nickelodeon. Are you afraid of the dark?
I remember. I still like could tell you. I haven't watched it in forever, but I could still tell you like certain episodes that scared there was a pool one, and it was like this zombie looking, not zombie, but it was like a swamp thing. And oh my God, like I don't ever swim in a swimming pool the same. I'm always like, oh my God, is this thing gonna like come out of the bottom?
That's funny.
Still to this day, like it's
well,
crazy.
Hopefully in your house you have a Casper situation. It's a friendly ghost.
I hope so.
See, Mason agrees with me right now. He's just like, yeah,
he's a happy ghost.
This ghost is cool.
Yeah.
I think it's just funny. Like from 2 months ago to now, how has Mason changed as far as even like being like a 2-month-old baby to almost 4 months now? Like what, like you mentioned like the rolling over, he's starting to get mobile, starting to get teething, but was the sleep process, getting that sleep schedule, the feed schedule, how has that changed? How is
it's so crazy because it's changed so much, but it's so crazy because it's literally like it just gradually happened on its own, like him sleeping better. One night he just, slept 10 to 5 or 6. And I was like, I woke up in a panic because I'm like, oh my God, like, did I not hear him cry? Did I not, and his naps during the day are much shorter. Yesterday he napped pretty hard, but the day before he didn't really nap and he was out in the fresh air. So he's definitely more mobile now. I'll lay him down on the ground, and if I turn away for a second, he's like halfway down the little pad I have for him. Not a pad, it's like a play thing, and he'll like knock it over and stuff. He talks a lot more. He's grabbing his toys now and pulling them to his mouth. He's pulling hair now, so I like to wear my hair up. Yeah, he's sleeping so much better at night. He's eating better. I think next time he's got his next appointment this month, and I think they might tell me I can start giving him like baby cereal and stuff. So the formula is not going to keep filling him up for long because you're a little chunky monkey.
He's a growing boy.
He is a growing boy.
I will say, if I ever meet him, he's not going to have any problem pulling my hair. So let's just
right. I know you're good. You don't even have to do anything.
He'll just pull like my ear or like grab my nose or something.
The little hairs on your face.
Jowls. So, well, that's awesome. And so, I mean, it's interesting because I think, what months were you pregnant? Because I'm horrible with math and I'm trying to backdate everything right now.
So I was pregnant. I got pregnant technically at the end of June. So we'll say July. And then I gave birth in March.
So
exactly on due date.
So you were pregnant more during like the winter months, like as
Yes.
far as like the big second and third trimester, obviously.
Yeah, thank goodness, because so when I obviously got pregnant, I was still working at the East Providence Yacht Club, and it was summertime and COVID was still a thing. So it was only the outside bar. And I didn't get like morning sickness. Like I threw up once my whole pregnancy, and that was because I ate something that just didn't agree with me. And that was like my second trimester. So my first trimester, I was nauseous all the time, but I never threw up. But I remember like bartending in the heat, and I was like, I wasn't telling anyone yet. And I was miserable. And I'm like, thank God I'm not like 8 months pregnant in this heat, because I would die.
Well, yeah. So my cousin and his wife, well, she's pregnant, and I think she's just entering her second trimester now.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking like moving forward, like how difficult that's going to be, for her. Like, granted, she'll probably be in her third trimester late fall, because I think she's due in December. So it's she's got some fall and winter months when she's going to be like, in the third trimester. But I don't want to say biggest, because that's, I don't want to be insulting, but she'll be the most pregnant,
right.
in those months. And, at least I think that'll be manageable, but I couldn't imagine being pregnant like the dead of summer.
Yeah. I have a friend now who's pregnant, and she's doing like 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm like, girl, and she's got children. And I'm like, girl, she's like, this heat is killing me. I'm like, I can imagine. Like, I remember, like I said, the first 2 months, I was miserable, and I was just nauseous all the time, and the heat didn't help it. But, I honestly loved being pregnant in the wintertime. It was just, I was cold, I wore all my like warm clothes, and it worked. Even when I gave birth and we brought him home, like it wasn't even that, it was raining the day we brought him home. And it wasn't even that freezing out. You know what I mean? It wasn't like super cold out. So it worked out pretty well.
Excellent. Well, now you mentioned COVID too. So COVID, knock on wood, looks like it might be, we might be on the uptick of things. We might be on the uptick. So have you been partaking in Hot Girl Summer?
I have not. This is Hot Mom Summer.
Yeah.
And we are going out I don't even change out of my pajamas half the time. Even so, like, thank God for Target pickup, because Target does like curbside pickup. And if it wasn't for Mason, I wouldn't do it. But because especially like more right now, I'm starting to bring him out in public a little bit, but especially like the first few months I wasn't. So curbside pickup was a thing, but thank God they don't like look in my car, because I literally would have like my bright blue sweatpants on, like no bra, my hair up, and I'm just like, yeah, put it in my, just put the stuff in the trunk, you're fine. Yeah, so it's definitely not hot.
You have embraced that mom life, and I absolutely love it.
I really have.
Love it. So I just love seeing, like, we talked about it I think probably in an earlier podcast too, but just like to know you from going from, you weren't necessarily single when I first met you. I can't remember now, but to see you go from a, for lack of a better term, a single woman, or even just in a relationship, and just being like this, like, I don't want to say crazy, out there type, but I remember like all the Snapchats and the rapping you would do, and the filters, and just like crazy. And now it's like, yeah, cool. That's the old me. Now I'm living that mom life, and I'm wearing my pajamas, getting Target pickup.
I used to like drink, and I have started to have like a couple glasses of wine, because I want to like be normal again. You know what I mean? So it took me a while though, because I was super like nervous, because I was just like, is it going to make me like pass out, like sleep? Am I going to like not hear the baby? So, but I've gotten better. So I can have a couple glasses of wine now, but I used to like drink and like wrap my little Snapchats. And now I'm like 4 p.m. on a Saturday, like in my pajamas, picking up Target with my Starbucks. And I'm like, Saturday night, woo woo, in bed by 9 o'clock.
You are a party animal.
I know. Keep it down there, girl.
Well, I think you're going to see a bounce back once the little guy gets a little bit more independent, and, I'm sure there's going to be like Yeah, exactly. You're already looking
Yeah,
for it, dude. You're like, listen, mom, I want a PlayStation 5. I want a PS5. Like, pick
he
that up.
is. Yeah, he's seriously so ready that his legs don't stop moving. This kid is gonna, when he starts crawling, I'm gonna be, then I'll have a hot, then it'll be hot girl summer because I'm gonna be in super shape because this kid is gonna be all over this house.
That's right. You don't need a gym membership anymore. It's just like chase the
Nope,
kid around, which will
exactly.
be
Between him
great.
and the dog, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great. I can't believe like he's just so like handsome. Hi, dude. Hi, buddy. And he's like,
I know
I
it's so funny too because Chris, I can say it now. Chris is like, I'm really, you know what? I'm really like surprised we had such a cute kid. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's like a fear. And like, it's funny because I was talking to, we took him to New York for the first time because Chris's family lives on Long Island. So we took him a couple weeks, I think it was like 3 weeks ago. And he did so good. He was so good on the car ride and with all the different people. And his cousin was like, he had said it. And I was like, it's just like such a mean thing to say. And his cousin's like, no, it's like a legit fear. Like, you never, not, no baby is ugly, and obviously every mother's going to love their child, but he is super extra handsome, so we're pretty excited about that.
I think it's more along the lines of, it's funny. We can kind of get into this if we want to go a little bit deeper other than just like surface stuff, but I think the aesthetic and being like physically attractive, even like as a child, as a baby, like if you dig a little bit deeper into it, it's survival of the species, right? Like you have a cute kid, he grows into be a cute like boy or a cute girl, attractive male, attractive female, finds a partner, keeps the bloodline going, so to speak.
Right.
Where it's like you don't want, or even if you don't go that deep into it, it's like you don't want your kid to ever get like picked on or bullied, and you realize growing up like people or children who look different than the norm. Kids can be cruel. Some of it's just curiosity and some of it's just social dynamics and wanting to be not, I don't want to say like an alpha, but like be like a leader, be like one of the popular kids, so you pick on the ones that might be different to make yourself seem like you're above them. It's all about like standing out and being the alpha or the top person, being popular, because that's a social context, right?
Mm-hmm. It's
Even
so
as
funny you
children.
said, yeah, it's true, because it's so funny you said that too, because he had I think I want to say he was like 3 weeks old, maybe a month. He had baby acne really, really bad. Like, I was still taking pictures of him. I wasn't really posting them, but he had baby acne really bad. And we were all like, oh my God, like, I hope he goes through his, like, cause I had super clear skin when I was little. And then when I hit like 8th grade and all through high school, my skin was so bad. Like, I didn't have good skin. I did Proactive. I did all that stuff. And I was made fun of for it. So I'm like, oh my God, like, I hope he gets all his skin problems out now. And like, he doesn't, have to go through with it in like middle school, high school. But it's funny too, because I mean, obviously you never know what your child does at school and stuff. But if I ever hear that my child is a bully, it will not be pretty, because my child will not be a bully. I don't care. He's not going to be a mean person.
Right.
And if I hear it, you're going to be in trouble, huh?
I laugh because I was smiling because you mentioned Proactive, and one of the things that I forget what I used to use, I think it was called like OxiClean. Oh, I forget what it was. The pads. Remember? I don't know if you were.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I had really bad acne as a kid too, and my grandmother would buy like stock, like four giant tubs of those things, and I'd be using like 4 of them every day. And it's just probably not the healthiest thing to do to your face.
Probably not, but and it burned too. That stuff was not. Yeah, it's probably like, not, looking back now, it probably wasn't the best thing to use on our skin, but I use those too, and it would like burn afterwards. And I'm like, what the heck?
I'm trying to remember the name. I think it was Oxy. I don't
I think it was OxiClean too, or I think it was definitely Oxy something.
Yeah, I gotta look that up, because like OxiClean is like the guy from the what do you call
the
him?
bald guy, Mr. Clean?
No. Like the what do you call them? Like the infomercials, OxiClean, like to scrub like your tiles and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
I
can't I think of his name? Oh my God, he's with the dark hair and he passed away, right?
I don't know if he passed away. I can think
of him on the South Park episode.
Yeah, so it's just called Oxy pads.
Yes.
Okay. Like I had to look it up, but yeah, OxiClean was. Let me see if I can.
As soon as you say it, I'm gonna know.
I want to say it's like Billy or something, but
And
I'm lying.
I think he passed away because I think um OxiClean
Billy
man.
Mays. Billy Mays.
Billy Mays, yes. William
Yeah.
Darrell Mays Jr. Yep. Yeah, he died in
OxiClean.
2009. But I only remember that. I mean, I remember it, but I remember it because they did like a purgatory episode on South Park, and he was in it.
Well, that took a twist.
I
Let's.
know.
We're talking about like baby acne, and like and we go from baby acne to like, remember that guy that did the infomercial that's in purgatory now from South Park? Like,
Sorry, yeah, we just
well,
I get off topic
let's
sometimes.
let's kind of find some middle ground here. So,
Okay.
as a mom, are you stay at home mom right now? Are you
Yeah.
watching a lot of TV in between?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Are
watch a
you?
lot of TV. It's
What?
bad actually.
So I was gonna say, like, we were talking about OxiClean and OxyPads. Do you watch any like of those infomercials or anything like that, or is it
I
more like?
It's more like I've watched every episode of like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I know it's terrible, but
All
I
right.
do. I watch
Well,
the
thanks for
Jersey
being on the
Shore,
podcast.
right? I
We'll
know.
talk later.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. See you later.
I've watched. So I've seen every episode of like Chicago PD. Me and Chris just started watching Chicago Fire, which is like my new favorite show. But I had told you, I think we had talked about it. I had just got into Friends this year. So that's on HBO Max. So I've been watching all those episodes from season 1. Right now Catfish is on because I love that show. Yeah, I
didn't take you much for like a fisherman outdoors person.
I'm not. I like Catfish where people pretend to be someone they're not.
Oh, see, I was doing this joke about like literal catfish, like
yeah,
like an actual fish.
Oh, I watch Wicked Tuna though. Does that count?
Yeah, you just like totally screwed up my joke, but that's okay.
Sorry.
I appreciate it. No, it's all right. So let's talk about you like watching catfish. My original intent for starting this thread of this conversation was I want to talk about if you'd watched any or had ordered anything from like a QVC or an infomercial or anything since being home, because I find that very interesting.
It is. No, I actually don't like, because sometimes I get up at like 6, 7 a.m. depending on what time Mason gets up. Yeah. So we get up early sometimes. So I'll like turn the TV on, and sometimes it is like there's like a makeup one. There's like I actually hate infomercials. I think they're so boring. And they're on for like an hour or two, and it's crazy. But I've never ordered anything off the TV. But me and Chris, so I ordered during quarantine when I needed a pregnancy pillow. So I ordered one offline from I found a site. It was like a advertisement on Facebook, which I will never do again. It was like $80, and I'll have to show you like the picture of what they showed it was and then what I got. And it was ridiculous. And then they weren't going to give me a reef. It was just a mess. And then me and Chris actually did it. Well, Chris found it. We did it a month ago with a dog bed. So we needed a new bed for the dog, and he found this website. And again, what we got versus what the picture was nowhere even close. So we've done it twice. We've both learned our lessons. I will never buy anything off the TV or a Facebook app or anything like that again.
I find that interesting, the way the different marketing campaigns work now, because I think it's definitely generational, because I think the previous generations that aren't, millennials that, aren't online as much, not that they're not online, but, they're typically still, think about even like our grandparents and whatnot. My grandmother used to order a bunch of shit from QVC.
Really?
Tons. She'd be like, that would be her channel to watch. She'd go in, she'd be watching that. I think it's funny because, with all of us, either commuting into an office, working all this stuff, everybody's on their phones now. The marketing has gone from television to online. So you're right. It's definitely Facebook ads. I hate the term influencer. I don't like people that are like, I'm an influencer online. And like, but again, if you use Keeping Up with the Kardashians, if Khloe or Kendall Jenner or Kylie Jenner are like, oh, here's my makeup line, or here's what I want. They have so many followers that people that want to live a similar lifestyle or look up to them as a role model type would buy those products,
Yeah. Well,
What Mason's agreeing with me.
I know. He's like, yeah,
He's
let me
saying,
talk.
Jeff, you're so right on this.
Right.
You're
It's funny
so
that you
right.
said that because TikTok is like the new thing.
Right.
So I love watching TikTok videos. They're hysterical. But there was a lot like early summer this year. There was a lot of like so I got really into like makeup at one point, not so much now obviously, but I still like to, once in a while I'll do my hair and makeup. And I was always like, I have to have like the $20 mascara, you know what I mean? Like I always had to have like from Ulta, like it had to be like name brand. So TikTok, the videos, they do like makeup dupes, like, oh, instead of spending $50 on this, excuse you, Piggy, spend $5 on this elf product or whatever. And it got me. I literally, it got it because I saw it on there and I was like, oh, let me try it. And, I mean, thank God most of them ended up being pretty good, but my grandmother's not going to go use TikTok.
Right. It's funny because I was thinking the same thing. Like for me, now that I'm like working from home a lot now, especially all during like COVID, I'm getting up and I'm going to the gym and I'm coming home and I have like maybe like 45 minutes before work. So I'll pop on the TV and there'll be so many things that I think like are kind of positioned or marketed in such a way that makes me want to buy it. Like I'll see these things on like Emerald Lagasse will have this like slow
an air
cooker.
fryer or something.
Yeah, an air fryer or slow cooker. And it's like, oh, here's these rotisserie chickens. I'm like, dude, I love rotisserie chicken. I can go buy them and save so much money. I just need to pay 4 easy installments of $99.99 and I can get and I'm thinking to myself, I don't have any room for this. Like, where am I gonna put this?
I have an air fryer, and that commercial makes it does that commercial does make me want to buy that specific one because you can you can make cookies in it, you can make chicken, you can make pizza, like you can make everything in there. So they do it. Some of the commercials do get you.
Well, and that's the other thing. Speaking of air frying, like I have a small, I think it's like a 1 quart. It's like it's literally the size, smaller than a basketball in circumference, of a little basket that you pull in, and it's got a little handle on the inside for a like catches like the grease or whatever. So it's like a circular thing, probably like roughly the size, a little bit bigger circumference than a softball, with a little handle in the middle. So basically you can like throw like French fries or tater tots or whatever else you're going to do there. And then I look up recipes because I'm trying to do more, like instead of ordering out all the time, during COVID, I'm trying to like find recipes that'll work for me. So it'll be like, oh, lay these 6 chicken breasts like flat in your air fryer. And I'm like, I don't have that much room. I can only lay 1 chicken breast. So I have to do this like 6 times if I want to eat daily. Instead of doing meal prep, I have to do it daily. And I don't like that, or all in one shot, and it's going to take forever. But
that's again, so funny. I just found a cupcake. Like you can make cupcakes in the air fryer.
Yep.
And I'm like, my air fryer, I have an air fryer too. It's not huge. So if I put cupcakes, I could probably put like 4 or 5, maybe 6 cupcakes down. But I'm like, why would I not just turn the oven on and make a whole batch of cupcakes instead of doing the air fryer, 10 minutes 2 times, when 16 minutes I could make, 24 cupcakes. But I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I'm like, no, I'm just going to use my oven.
Well, it's that. And I've also been kind of leaning on the crock pot a lot. The crock pot's been my best friend throughout.
Yeah, I think we have one. I don't use it. Chris is the cook. I don't cook just because I just don't. And I don't like to cook. I'm not very good at it.
I love to cook.
That's awesome.
I just don't have like the room because I have a very small kitchen because in my apartment. But yeah, here's a quick, easy recipe. And for the listeners listening to the podcast, all you can do is buy some chicken breast, skinless chicken breast, depending on the size of your crock pot. Throw it in there. I usually do 3 chicken breast. I do a packet of low sodium taco seasoning, a little salt and pepper, and then I get 2 cans of diced tomatoes with green chilies. Dump that all in the crock pot, put that on low for 6 hours. And then I take 2 forks, I shred it, get some taco shells. I make some chicken and tomato tacos. Super good. Little that sour
sounds
cream. Really. I'm actually going to send you a picture of it right now. So we're going to do this.
What did you send me the picture of the other day that you were eating?
Oh, was that what it was?
That was it? Oh my God. That looked delicious.
Yeah, it was great. I put it on a couple of whole wheat taco shells and we were good to go. Good to go. So it's super easy. Like I love just the convenience of it. Get like, a handful of like ingredients, throw it in the crock pot. You make some some awesome stuff. I also make if I'm not to pat myself on the back too much, but I make a really badass chili too.
Oh,
That
nice. I haven't had
is
chili in a long time.
I'll have to, well, next time I make it, I'll freeze you a batch, and then
All right, sounds
because we
good.
still haven't officially met in person yet, which I think is like wild.
We have not.
We've been friends for like 4 years now, 5 years, and
Yeah,
it's
it's been
like
so
we've
long.
never
It's
actually met.
crazy.
And it's again akin to what we were talking about as far as technology. Like we're at the point where we don't even have to meet in person because technology is what it is. That I can chat you, I can video chat, I can Snapchat, TikTok,
Yep.
whatever. Like, and we can have these conversations without ever having to meet in person. But I still feel like there's a certain piece of socializing that's missed.
Yeah.
Without,
Oh, it definitely is. Definitely. It absolutely. I feel the same. It's like I mean, a lot of my friends now, especially with COVID and the baby, like a lot of my friends have had to meet Mason, like, FaceTime. And I can't wait to be like, oh, let's do it in person so you can, see him and meet him.
Yeah, and I think we're getting to that point. So
Definitely.
maybe,
Yeah. So next podcast we'll do in person.
wow, we're gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure out if we're doing, but yeah, he looks super. I don't know what you got there, but that's gonna be his favorite toy.
So this is his favorite toy. It's literally like this. It's from Bright Starts. I don't even know. It's a little sloth with a mirror. And it's not like a really good mirror, obviously. So I don't think he can see himself, but he loves this thing. Like he literally, he loves it. And I just sit here and I sing the Oompa Loompa song, like whatever from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
I go, and he loves it. It's so funny. Like, and he'll literally it keeps him entertained for so long.
So which Oompa Loompa song do you sing?
Which
one? But which character? Mike TV, or is it Violet, or
no, it's the
Augusta Gloop?
No, it's just the oompa oompa, and he laughs.
Oh, that's all you do.
I don't know what song that is. Is it this?
No, so okay. Let me rewind here. All the Oompa Loompa songs from Willy Wonka. Is it Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because the one with Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka is the Johnny Depp one, right?
Oh yes, so Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So
Gene Wilder.
It's the Gene Wilder one, but it's just I don't sing the whole thing. Then,
okay, that's where I was confused.
Yeah, sorry.
Because
okay, I know
the Augusta Gloop one is where he eats too much sweets, eating as much as an elephant eats.
Yes. Okay. Then, I don't go that far because I don't know all of those. I just
what
do the beginning.
Do you get when your kid is a brat?
Yes.
Like that. I wasn't sure if you went through. I was gonna say, what are you imprinting on this young mind?
Right.
How are you hurting his self-esteem already?
Oh my God. Well, it's funny because speaking of, so they say not to let babies watch TV, like regular TV, and obviously we have a big screen and he's on the floor sometimes, so he'll look at it. But I guess because of like their brain development, like the sounds and pictures moving so fast. But there was one night, like 2 months ago, that he would not go to sleep. So I put him in the swing, which is near the TV, and he fell asleep watching Chicago PD. And I was like, only my child would do that. But now we've figured out he likes Bluey on the Disney Channel, so I'll let him watch it. But some of the things they come out with, I'm like, if you ever act like that, like, and you're going to learn it from this children's TV show, I'm going to be so mad.
Isn't it funny though, how, I don't know if this applies to you. It might just apply to me, but, I've learned, grew up, I was like a latchkey kid, I'd come home from school. My parents would both be working. So I'd be in front of the TV or whatever, it was really before like the internet was like super prevalent, like I think I was 14 when America Online was like the big thing or whatever, so even like I was 11, 12 years old, I was coming home and I'm done from school, so I'd be watching TV. I'd be watching Family Matters or Full House or Perfect Strangers or Step by Step or anything like that whole TGIF lineup, Boy Meets World, all that stuff. And I think that's kind of like shaped my viewpoint of the world as like a preteen, adolescent, young adult, whatever you want to call it. Like, comparatively speaking, when you put something on now, and maybe it's just me getting older and a little bit more, bah humbug, if you will, toward the world. But like I watch like kid shows that were like meant, like if you watch stuff that when I was like 10 or 12, 10 years ago, like for like any of those Nickelodeon shows, like The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, or whatever those things are, like those seem so cheesy to me now.
Yeah.
But then I
Because
look,
the shows you watch, they were so like even Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, there are episodes that it's funny, but there are episodes like, you know, when he says that his dad didn't want him. Like I literally cry every time I watch that episode, but it's they had like heartfelt moments and they had lessons behind them. So I completely understand. Like,
I think, you know, newer generations, all like the shows that are kind of catered to them are more about just like the crazy, like,
right, like silly and funny and
and goofy, and like everybody can sing and everybody puts on a show and everybody is a star, and it's interesting because I think that's the other one that I was like that I was watching the other day. I'm not watching, but I was flipping through. I think it's on, is it HBO Max or it might be Paramount, whatever the one that has the Nickelodeon content on. But I was on a streaming service and it was like I think it was called like I think it's called Victorious. I don't know because it was Victoria Justice was on it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a show around her, but like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff. And if you really want, not to get too deep and too weird on it, but you hear some of the stories, like everything with Hollywood is always kind of weird too, like as far as some of the weird stories, but you hear about a lot of the inappropriateness for like stuff going on in those kids shows. Like you can watch YouTube videos and be like adult jokes in these like kid shows.
Yes.
And it's like crazy how like these, you know, it's these kids, and the show that's being made by, you know, adults in the industry are hyper sexualized, or at least like subtly anyway, to these like kids. And it's just like it's not like, it's just so disturbing. Like again, I didn't grow up watching those shows, so even then, like I go back and I try to watch like Full House or whatever, and they don't really have, it's not as
right, there's no like sexual
obvious
innuendos where you watch it 5 years later and you're like, oh my god, that meant that. I think there was actually a YouTube video, and I don't know how, I remember watching it, I don't remember how accurate it was, but it was like Disney movies, and it was like there was one part in Aladdin where like he says something sexual, but it's like you have to like listen to it like super loud or something. You know what I mean?
It's the
like
scene. So I've these are all like what do you call them? Urban legends.
Yeah, so on the balcony, right?
Yeah, he's on the balcony, he's on the magic carpet, and he says something like, take off your clothes.
Yes. Okay.
And then there's the scene in The Lion King where Simba, adult Simba, lays on the flower bed and all the petals go into the air, and somebody like paused it and it looks like it spelled out sex, S-E-X.
Yes.
But it was actually, if again, depending on who you believe, it was the studio SFX that they were putting their logo in there because it was whatever. But you can do the same thing. And then, you know, more on the clever side, you can do the same thing for all the Pixar movies.
Yes.
And you can actually see all the callbacks, which is, they're not as, you know, inappropriate, but like just the movies that touch upon each other, or like, you know, you'll see like in Toy Story, you'll see a toy in the background that looks like Lightning
from like Monsters.
From exactly. And it's just it's cool in that respect, that I like how it's that
I like that better.
But I think you go to those old programs, to your point, like Full House, there was those, you know, the episodes where, you know, Stephanie's friend was getting beat by his dad, or DJ was on like this, like she wasn't eating because she wanted to lose weight, and they'd have like the crazy silly episodes, but they'd also, you know, kind of have the other end of the coin, or the other side of the coin, and have those like super serious episodes. And but each one kind of had a lesson, regardless if the episode was super silly or, you know, very, very heartfelt. It would still be like you know, even though the one, like I said, with the Stephanie's friend that was getting abused at home, they put like a number at the end of the episode for like, if you or, you know, somebody, whatever, like they're trying to put, you know, it's making it known a little bit and putting more of a spotlight on it, and saying, hey, there's help out there for you, as opposed to, like I said, I think I'll give you a perfect example, and I don't mind saying this on the podcast. I loved Boy Meets World growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, when they did the reboot, or Girl Meets World, you know, it's made for a different generation. And, you know, I watched it obviously to see what the characters of Boy Meets World, how they've grown up and become parents and stuff. but it's just like some of the stuff they try to do, and they try to echo the sentiments of the original series, but you can see a vast difference in the original scene from Boy Meets World to what they do on Girl Meets World, because it's made for a different generation. It's a lot more slapstick. It's a lot more, I don't want to say dumbed down. That's not the word I want to use, but it's a lot more like there's no like subtlety in a lot of like lessons and stuff. And it's quite interesting. But
yeah, TV is definitely not what it used to be.
Right. Well, and the reason I say this is like to kind of like go forward a little bit, talking about Victorious. There's a girl that was on Victorious that was on another show that I watched later on when she was a little bit older, on FX, and it was called Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. And it was one of the characters on that show Victorious. Her name is Elizabeth Gillies. She's now on Dynasty on the CW, which is I like that show too, because I have a weird range of taste, but she's like this gorgeous woman. I find her so attractive. But she was on the show, whatever, and I guess the guy that did the music for that show, she just ended up marrying him.
Oh wow.
And there's like a 25-year age difference, so it's like, oh, he was in her life when she was like 15, 16. Like, it's like super creepy. Not that I'm saying that they anything illicit I can't talk illicit happened, I can't pronounce that word, or anything like suspect might have happened. It could have been like they waited till she was an adult, but you don't, it's always like a touchy subject. But you hear those stories about that dude all the time that runs a lot of those shows, and they say he's got like a fetish. There's the urban legends that even Jamie Lynn Spears, Britney's younger sister, when she got pregnant on whatever that show, there was a rumor that it wasn't the boyfriend that she was with, it was one of the producers or directors or whatever. And it's just like, it's so weird to like think about that. Like, you can say what you want about our childhood shows. I don't hear, and maybe it was just more well guarded back then, other than like, Aunt Becky, paying, bribing or whatever, paying for, like, okay, that's not like anything like sexual. That's, that's against the law, whatever. That's that, you're compromising your morality or an ethics.
Right, but you never heard of like actor, like the
you never heard of like, oh, Uncle Jesse was like hitting on Michelle, or you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
So it's just it's one of those things that are like just super interesting to see. Like, it's just like a different, and maybe the people that, or the rumors, whether they're true or not, but those people that are behaving that way, maybe if they would have paid more attention to the shows they grew up on,
it wouldn't be so bad now.
Yeah.
They would be acting right.
So long story short, I did not buy a different air fryer via the infomercial.
Me either. Yeah. No, I'll keep my air fryer.
So what is the plan? I guess, I know you're talking about doing the whole mom thing right now in the pajamas, but what's the overall plan as far as Mason gets older? Where do you see yourself going? As far as I know, we talked about right now, you're a stay-at-home mom.
Yes.
And it's gonna be that way for the foreseeable future, at least the formidable years while he's growing up.
I'll be a stay-at-home mom. It might be a few, I'm thinking like a few years, just until, I'm sure we'll, when me and Chris decide that, or Chris and I decide, about daycare and stuff, which, like I said, this is all new to us. So I don't even know, like, when is the best time to start and stuff like that. I think when COVID dies down and stuff, and just when he's old enough. Me and Chris talked about it, and you always hear like horror stories about daycare, like he's too young to tell you. And obviously you can't think that way about everything, but it gives us like anxiety. So it'll be like that probably for a few years. And then I'm actually not sure, because I've always done like office work, which I'll probably stick with. But I obviously had to leave my job. So they obviously had to replace me. And I loved my job. I loved the people I worked with. They were always like so understanding, which obviously with like a child and a dog, it's hard to find a place, God forbid Mason's sick, or like there was one day at lunchtime at my old job where James had a seizure. I had to bring him to the vet. And they were just like, yeah, go, like no problem. So
just for clarification, James is the dog.
James is my dog. Yes. Okay. Sorry. James is my dog. So James had a seizure, and I had to bring him. That was like the first time, and it was literally happened while I was on lunch. So I had to bring him. But they were so understanding. So I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do career wise when I go back to work. So it's still kind of up in the, I could do whatever I want, You know what I mean? I mean, not what I can be a singer if I wanted to, but you know what I mean? Like job wise, like, I don't know if I'll stay in the, office field. I probably will. But I mean, if I don't know, because at my last job, I was doing administrative assistant work, but that was really like as far as it could go. There was no room for like not like I need to be promoted, but there was no room for like, okay, like moving up or doing something different. Like that was my job and that was it. So I'm definitely looking around just to see. So I honestly, I don't know.
So with all the free time that you have right now, not free time, I put that in air quotes for people that
Right.
are listening. So we haven't really talked about the gaming and the streaming anymore.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I thought about that this morning too. I'm like, oh, so there was one day. So like I said, obviously when Mason was so let me start over. So since like October, I haven't played Call of Duty or streamed since October. I just, I was like, what, 4 or 5 months pregnant, and I was just exhausted all the time. Like I would come home from work and I just wanted to sit on my couch, which granted, playing video games is just there, but I would get so into it that I would like sit on the edge of my chair. Like I was like into it. So it wasn't just like a sit down and relax type of thing for me. So I haven't done it since then. So then when he was born, obviously I was like, oh my God, the first month I'm like, I'm never going to sleep again. And I'm never going to be able to like have a video game, play a video game or do anything. And obviously now that's changed since he sleeps better and stuff. So I had actually turned on my Xbox probably like a month ago, because I was like, I got to turn this on and update it, because it literally took like 2 days to update.
Yeah, it's like
because I had
67 updates, software updates.
Yeah,
patches.
it had like a million updates, and I was like, I better do this now if I want to start playing again. But it sucks because I loved Warzone, and that was like my thing last summer. Like I had my girl squad, like we were, I had my set of friends I played with, but I guess the game has changed so much. So I've heard that it's like, all I see is like people complaining about it, and like it's just not fun anymore. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like I'm gonna get back. I want to get back into gaming. But it was funny you said that, because my friends over the weekend, the 2 girls that I was playing with, they just downloaded Overcooked, I think it's called, and it's like a chef game. So they want me to download that to play with them. So I might take a look at that one. But I am sad, because I wanted to get back into it and play Warzone like it was like last summer. And it's just not like that anymore. So kind of a bummer. But yeah, I turned my Xbox on that one day. I took a picture of my controller. I was like, I'm back, and literally haven't turned it on since.
So basically what you're doing is all your loyal followers, you're lying to them.
I lied so hard. I know. And I had people, they're like, yeah, come on, let's go.
False
and I was like, I wanted
promises.
so bad. And I was just like, oh, I just get so tired. And I just like, or like forget about it. And then I'm like, oh, like, Mason, he's like starting to go to bed at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And in the beginning, I was going to bed as soon as he went to bed. Because I never knew like when he was going to wake up. Now, so I'm, being an adult, and like he'll go to bed and I'll stay up for a little while. So I could play, and I just like, I forget about it now. So, but I do want to get back into it. But like I said, I love Call of Duty, and like that's what I want to play, but it's just not like it was. So that makes me like sad.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of things that technology is always changing. Maybe there's going to be a new what's the new? And this is how dumb I am, or not knowledgeable. I don't know if that's the right word to use as far as gaming systems. What's the new Xbox console called? So like the PlayStation's easy because you go PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5.
Right?
That's easy. And then it's like,
has
there's like
S and X and
there's Xbox, and then there's
whatever.
Xbox 360, there's Xbox One, there's Xbox whatever. And I'm like,
so it's not Xbox One.
I don't know. I'm not an Xbox.
We had a whole podcast on the new consoles too. Like we suck. This is called Mom Brain, and it's real.
Is it Xbox Series X?
Series X, yes.
Okay. I just had to do a quick Google search. I did PS5 versus, and that's what popped up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's funny. We did do a podcast on that, but that was on the other show.
That was on the other show, yes.
The other show, which is also.
And my Xbox, so I have that. So you know what? Then I must have the Xbox One, but mine, I've only had it for like a year and a half. So technically that's still new to me. So I will not be buying a new console anytime, especially with not playing it as much. I won't be buying a new console anytime soon.
I'm in the same boat. Like for me, it's like a lot of the games that I like are still coming out for the PS4. So it's like, why bother upgrading
Right.
right now? And especially with COVID, like the trying to find a PlayStation 5 right now is like insane.
Yeah, I can imagine. I remember when it was like around Christmas time when people were trying to get them, and it was like back when you couldn't get like a Tamagotchi or a Furby or something. Like people were going crazy.
I like how you bring up Tamagotchi as like the
I love that. I don't even know if I said it right, but I like miss those. And it's funny because I just saw, I think Chris's cousin Sarah just posted something about the year. I don't know if it was the year she was born or something about the year that it came out, and the name was like, it stood for like egg friend or something. And it was like, you know, the way it looks like an egg. So it's funny, but that's what I feel like is now it's like, you know, the gaming consoles are like that where you can't find them. Or do you remember the movie Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he can't find the toy?
Yeah, first of all, that's like the worst Arnold Schwarzenegger movie of all time.
I know, but
actually no, I take that back. That would be Batman and Robin, where he's like he plays Mr. Freeze and he makes all those really bad.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Hey,
but no, I guess
out.
that's right. But that's like that's like what happened. I remember over the Christmas, people were like trying to find the Xbox and the PlayStation.
When
and
I was a kid, it was Power Rangers. Like people were going.
Oh, I love Power Rangers. Yes.
So yeah, I just like how you use Tamagotchi as your example, like the in toy. I think, what was it? Even way back in the day when I was like before I was born, I think around the time I was born, I think it was like Cabbage Patch Kids were all the rage,
Yep.
and people were beating each other up for Christmas for like Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yep.
Which is insane.
Yeah. And then there was like for babies, it was like Coco Melon last year. I remember seeing so many posts about this Coco Melon character, and I still have it. I don't even, and I look through the Disney Channel and the Nick Channel, and I don't see it at all. And I don't even know what it's on, but I know that was like a big thing, and people couldn't find it, and then people would buy it. They'd buy all of them, and then they'd sell them for like triple the price. And I'm like, I can't believe people still do that. Like, that's ridiculous.
Oh, so Coco Melon is an American YouTube channel and streaming media.
Oh, that would be why I can't find it on TV. Not like I'm trying to find. I would like Mason to not like Coco Melon.
Yeah, cocomelon.com. It's all one word. Well, it's how it's spelled, but it's also cocomelon.com. You can check that out. There you go. There's a free tip for anybody listening that have kids that are young kids or young toddlers and infants and whatnot that might want to put some stuff on for them. Free plug for cocomelon.com. Yeah, I think it's interesting, but I also find it to that point where, you know, we're a civilized culture, but how quickly that civilization crumbles when you bring in economics to something. I remember a story when I was young. I was probably about 4 or 5, and you know, even to this day, which you know, I have Free Your Geek as my secondary podcast now, because that's kind of on its last legs. We can talk about that later. But I was always into superheroes. I was always into like, you know, Marvel, DC, all that stuff from even an early age. And I remember my mother told me she was at CVS and found Robin, Batman's sidekick, which has a karate chop action, as I'm pantomiming that on the video.
You push the button.
You pick his arm up, it clicks into place, you push the button and he chops down. My mother almost got in a fight with an old lady over it because it was like one of the last ones. And my mom grabbed it first, and she tried to grab it out of my mom's hands. And I'm like, you think about that. And I look at that now and I'm like, I would never act like an animal, not like an animal, but I just think, again, society isn't such that if I'm in a store and it's not in the store, oh, I'll go on Amazon or I'll go online. I'll go to another Target or a Walmart or whatever, and I'll have it shipped to me. Yes, I might have to pay a premium price.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But see, I also won't pay a premium price because we took Mason to New York and we visited, you know, a friend, and their daughter had this Elmo toy. It was a plastic Elmo, and he had a headset on, and his arms, I mean, you can't see it, but his arms basically moved. You push the button and he danced. And Mason loved it. So I was like, oh, you know, it's Elmo. So I tried to find it, and I guess, you know, Elmo's not that big of a thing anymore. So I couldn't find it. I found one on Amazon. This thing is like this little plastic toy. It was like $80. And I was like, absolutely not. So I went on Target and I found this singing Elmo for like $15. So I was like, oh, I'll get him that. Okay, not the same thing. And Mason does not like Elmo when he sings. He only likes him when he dances. But I also was not going to pay $80 for some old Elmo toy when he's not going to remember it tomorrow, and I can get him a different dancing toy. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, at that age, similar to like clothing and stuff, they
Right.
outgrow.
So I've
quickly.
already put his, it's funny, because I've already put his newborn clothes. They haven't fit him in a long time. And even he's in 3 to 6 months now. And even some of those, I'm like, oh my God, these are getting like tight on you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just can't see spending that much money on a toy that he liked one day, but he might not like it the next day. So.
Well, that's why I used to work at a sporting goods store, and you'd be surprised, and I'm not trying to shame anybody when I say this, but you'd be surprised on the amount of Jordans that people like, the newborn Jordans and stuff. And I'm like, you're spending, you know, granted they're not as expensive as, you know, adult Jordans, but you're spending like this money for like this brand name on something they're going to outgrow in like 3 weeks, you know?
Oh yeah, he's got a pair of Vans. I think they go from 6 months to a year. I haven't put them on him yet. There was so much stuff too, even as a newborn, like cute clothes, cute socks, cute this and that, cute outfits that I just didn't even, when I was taking all the newborn stuff out, I'm like, oh my God, he didn't wear this. He didn't wear this. He didn't. So I can't see spending, you know, I'm not saying, oh, let's just buy him cheap clothes, but there are some things he wore once. There are some things he didn't wear at all. So I cannot see buying. I bought myself a pair of Jordans once. I think I was like 19 years old and I spent $90 on them. And I wore them until like the sole came out. Cause I was like, I spent $90 on these things. Like I'm going to wear them. But I cannot see doing that for a baby.
No. And it's, you have a good mindset, because that's one of the things too, is, you know, they're going to outgrow it so fast. It's
100%.
You know, and they're not going to even remember wearing like the clothes or having the shoes or whatever the case might be. Like, I don't remember what I wore even when I was like 5 years old. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, none of that matters to me.
No.
So, but no, that's good. I'm glad. Hopefully I'll be able to talk to you the next time, and we'll talk about how you're back into the streaming game and
I hope so. I want to get back into it. Like I said, I mean, it's funny because it was easier when he was a newborn because he would sleep more. And now that he's not, he's awake more. And he does get bored. Like he'll lay on the floor, he'll sit in his chair. But they say newborns do get bored, and he does get bored. So I'm like, oh, I just feel bad. Like if I start a game of Warzone and he, like I said, his naps go anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours. So, you know, like yesterday he slept for like 3 hours because he was tired. But the day before, I think he napped for a total of an hour all day. So I'm like, I'm going to get into a game of Warzone, or I'm going to start streaming, and he's going to wake up and be fussy, and I'm going to have to cut it short, which I know, like, you know, people wouldn't mind, but like, it's just to do all that work to, like, you know what I mean? To get back into it.
Well, that's the drawback about, like, you know, playing like these larger MMO or, you know, these other games where it's not like you can't pause your progress, go take care of what you need to take care of, and then go back to the game. It's like, you know, okay, well, everybody else is depending on me. I'm playing this live game and I think that's interesting, because I think a lot of, you know, I don't want to say being a female gamer, you're a little in a unique position. Not that there's not a whole slew of female gamers, but I think there's another issue with that where, you know, for example, when I was dating, you know, I'm not going to mention her name, but one of the girlfriends I had a few years ago, like 10 years ago, and I'd be playing something. She's like, oh, like, why don't you just pause that and come do what you need to do and then go? I'm like, I can't pause it. Like it's not it's a game. It's a game that's real time. Like, you know, it's you know, and people think that it's a waste of time. I feel it's more of a waste of time if you end it halfway through. You already put all that time into it, and now guess what? Like,
it's gone. Yeah, it's funny, but I actually was looking into the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
Because I did see some games that I'm like, oh, I could play that. But then I think too, like, I don't even play my Xbox, but on the Nintendo Switch, like you just said, it's different because you could, you know, I could pause the game. I could, you know, take care of my stuff, go back, you know, if Mason cries, I can pause it. Whereas in Warzone or Call of Duty, if you're playing a live match, you can't do that.
No,
So
and
I
I
was
absolutely,
looking into the Nintendo Switch.
yeah, no, I was, if I were to go back to traveling for work, oh, it's funny you say that because I just looked it up. Guess what just popped up in my news feed?
Nintendo Switch?
Nintendo Switch Pro just got dropped.
Oh, see?
Let's see.
Technology is listening to us.
It's gonna be released on October 8th.
But see, I would, because I would be like new to that, I would start with the original because it's probably cheaper. And if I didn't like it,
well, that's what it's going to be back on too, right? Like they have the Switch, then they have the Switch Lite. Like the Switch I like just because of the docking station, so you can use it as a handheld, or you
yes,
could dock it and cast to your TV,
on your TV. Yes, I saw that too, which is super cool. I liked the both too. Like I could sit at home and play it, but I could also sit, away from the TV and play it.
Well, and that, again, I think it really depends on, what you're going to be doing with it. For me, when I would travel for work and I'd be sitting in the airport for 2 hours, then on a plane for another 3 hours, I would read a book, or I'd download movies or television shows to my iPad and watch that on the flight, or try to take a nap or whatever. But having a video game system would be kind of cool too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna throw it old school. I'll just go get a Game Boy Color and play some Pokemon because I'm about that life too.
Well, there you go. Well, I was going to say, or if you make any other trips to New York, and you're going to go visit family or Chris's family out there, and Mason's taking a nap in the back seat, and I don't know what type of conversation you have with Chris, if you guys talk all the way up, or if you
talk in the car. It's funny because my dog James does not like the car, so now I sit in the back seat with the baby on one side and James on my lap. So.
Well, but it would give you something to do then.
It would give me something to do, but I get car sick, so I don't really play in the car. Even like looking at my phone sometimes, I'm like, oh, I gotta stop like looking at my phone because I'm getting sick. But like I said, even like, okay, so even now, actually, that's a funny point. So I have my phone, and then I have an iPad that I had gotten for a Christmas gift, and I was like, I'm really never gonna use it, and I really don't use it that often. But I play Candy Crush on it, which I've been playing. I'm on level like 1,000. Like I need a life. But anyway. When I'm putting Mason to sleep, I have one hand on the bottle and he's laying on his pillow, and then I play Candy Crush on the other. Or like even last night, I was asleep and he woke up at like 11 to eat, and I keep it dark. I come on the couch, I lay him down, he eats, and I play my Candy Crush. So with like a game, a Game Boy is kind of hard, a little harder to need both hands, but.
Well, the I guess the takeaway there is there's tons of options for you. Your phone now is its own handheld game. There's tons of games.
It is. Yep.
That you can do there. So, yeah, I think there's plenty of options for you. So I think you'll get back into the swing of things shortly. I just know that we want to get those subscribers on Twitch to a level where we can kind of like get you're a superstar on there. I just love it because you're on there, and I think you have more followers on Twitter right now than both my personal account and my podcast account.
I know, and I always but the funny thing is I've had it for a long time, and I think not a lot, but some of the accounts are like fake, not fake accounts, but they're bots. They're bots, yeah. But I do have a lot of followers, from playing the video games and stuff. So I always try to like retweet your stuff, your podcast and stuff. But it's funny because like I'll tweet something and no one will say, just like on Facebook, no one will say anything. But then you tweet something about something else and it's like everyone's saying stuff. So it really just depends. Like there was a time when I first made Twitter that I was really into, like One Tree Hill. So I had all these people that were, we would talk about that show or quotes or whatever. And then it was like video games, so I would use it towards that. So,
you've kind of like created a whole like contingent of people.
Yeah. I like to, keep it open, and I have a little bit of everything. Got some TV, got some video games. So.
Well, that's great. And now let's kind of like look toward the future. Obviously, we're going to try to do a podcast in person because I think that would be fun.
Yes.
We can get us both on one camera and just like play off each other and be goofy and silly and stupid, because I think that would be fun.
Yes, that's happening.
What else do you think lies in your future? So I don't want to get into all the personals, so we can say no comment if you want to, because I don't want to like give personal details away. But obviously, you're engaged, so I'm assuming
So I
there's
think, so we were planning like a wedding, obviously before COVID happened and then Mason happened. I think it'll be very small when we do it. So that's not real. Yeah, it's going to be super small. We'll probably do like a quick little thing and then they'll have like a little party with family and stuff. But there is that. Like I said, work, not sure yet. Babies wise, Mason will probably be an only child. Everyone's like, you're going to change your mind. And there are days where I'm like, oh, like we could do this again. And then literally every time I say that, Mason has like a really bad like time going to sleep. And that's like random for him. So I'm like, every time I think about it, that happens. So I'm going to say he's going to be an only child. Yeah, I mean,
I will say with that though, give it time, because let's look at it this way. Like, what about like a year and a half from now, when everything's like copacetic and like he's on the schedule and he's already got his own little personality now and he's got his routine and he's done. Then it's like, oh, he's already growing up way too big. Like,
right,
I miss him when he was,
yeah.
So yeah, never say never, but
never say never. Like I said, I think right now that's the plan.
Well,
and then like I said, I do want to get back into gaming and streaming. Maybe do like an old school game thing, like, because I loved the first Call of Duty, Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
So, and I have my Xbox that actually works, my Xbox 360. So I might try to get back, like turn that on and see if I could play that and do a stream for that, because I think that would be fun to kind of bring it back. But I do want to get back into that. I keep saying it, but I do want to do that. So
I will say, I just thought of a random idea, and you can totally put the kibosh on this right now. I want to do when you're getting closer to the wedding, bachelorette party. I want to be podcasting with you during your bachelorette party.
Okay.
You can just be like, oh my God.
I'm like, that's so married. Funny. That's so funny because Chris wanted to do like a fishing trip for his. And I'm like, okay, I just want to do like the winery because I'm going to be in bed by 7 anyway. So
party with all your girls.
Yeah.
And Jeff.
And Jeff, you can come along too. Yeah. We'll podcast it live.
Oh, we'll have like a group podcast. We can. I just got a great idea. I can turn it into a video. Not, as long as it's appropriate. As long as it's appropriate. No, but we can do all like talking heads with all like your bridesmaids and stuff, like giving you well wishes for your wedding. Oh, that'd be super fun. I think
that sounds fun. We can definitely do that. So
I agree. Well, I will, as wrapping up, I want to say that it's always great to see you.
You too.
It's always great to see you. So I'm going to let you get back at it. We've been doing this for about an hour. So I think that's a good place to cut it, but it's good catching up. And yeah, definitely. I think maybe once this hot girl summer goes by, that I'm not, enjoying, unfortunately, but we'll have to kind of reconvene and get back together and just see how we interact in person. Because I think, you said it might not be awkward. I think it's going to be totally awkward. And I think that'll make for either good video or good podcasting, because I think it'll be like, we have nothing in common, and not nothing in common, but just don't know how to interact with each other. It'll be like, super weird. Like, where do you draw the line? Where's the level of acceptance? Because, I'm a very like, I'm going to move back and forth, and like, I'm going to be like, want to give you like a big hug and all this stuff. And I'm like, I've never met you. And you're going to be like, whoa, dude, like, 6 feet. And
back up.
I'll be like, oh man.
Social distance.
So yeah, it'll be, because I feel like, I've known you for years now, but it's just, I don't know how people interact, because it's like all that social awkwardness too. Is going to be fun. But yeah, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know if we did this last time, but we do a different outro now.
Oh, damn it. I literally was practicing the other one.
Okay, so go ahead. So why don't you go ahead and do it? Go ahead.
So this has been Casey and Mason, and this has been my aimless conversation.
Perfect. So we might go out on that, but what I do now is to make it easy for you is that I'll say, I'll come in, I'll be like, this is Jeff Cosetta, and then you guys introduce yourselves, and then I'll say, and this has been our aimless conversation.
Oh, I like that one better.
Because it's easier. That way, all you have to do is say your name.
I like that.
And that way, if I start interviewing people where I'm not sure how to pronounce their last name or whatnot, and I don't butcher it,
they can say,
they can say, or if they go by a nickname or they go whatever, like I have a buddy that goes by Saul instead of Solomon, or, and I don't want to be like, oh, this has been Solomon. And he's like,
right.
I don't go by that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll leave that in, but we'll do this part too. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Casey, anything that you want them to follow you on or anything else you want to plug?
You can follow my Twitter, which you know me. I think it's at X Miss Black Mamba.
Yeah.
I never remember it.
Okay.
And that's my one that's public.
So she goes, oh, so wait, you have another one that I'm not friends with you on? That's kind of rude.
No, I don't. Oh, I have an old one that I haven't.
Oh, well,
used
you just said that's my public ones. Oh, that's the one that I put
Oh
on.
no,
So I took that as
sorry.
I have what do they call that? A Finster account.
No. That's my only social media, like my Facebook and Instagram are private.
You can follow Casey on Twitter at Ms. Black Mamba. XMSBLACKMAMBA. You can follow me at jfree82 on both Instagram and Twitter. Please feel free to share the podcast, like, share, subscribe, review, anything that helps permeate this podcast and different people's feeds and suggestions help grow the podcast. And you can listen to more stories from Casey as we go along. So again, this has been my aimless conversation. That's not how I'm going to end it. Let's do that again. That's going to be take 2. My name is Jeff Cosetta, and I'm here with
Casey and Mason.
And this has been our aimless conversation. Bye, everybody.
Bye.